security agencies by remaining indoors until the curfew is lifted. Potiskum is believed to be one of the flashpoints of the radical terrorist group Boko Haram since the commencement of the insurgency. Reports from Yobe say fully armed military troops were sighted in their hundreds along Maiduguri Road through Damaturu towards Potiskum, and that was hours before the announcement of the curfew. We move on to politics now, and ahead of the November 16 governorship election in Anambra State, the People's Democratic Party has inaugurated a screening committee to work towards the selection of its governorship candidate. The acting national organizing secretary of the party, Mr. Yusuf Abubakar, who inaugurated the five-man committee, asked members to ensure that the best candidate emerges. He restated the commitment of the ruling party to internal democracy, saying a transparent selection process will increase the party's chances at the polls.
Anambra State is a PDP state, but because of certain internal divisions, we lost the state in 2010. The party is determined and desirous of making sure that in the 2013 election, we recapture and we regain our state, that is Anambra State. To ensure this thing, the NWC has committed itself to having a free and fair process. And that is why we are having very eminent and important personalities, people who have credibility and integrity as members of this very important time.
Now, the idea of a two-party system may not be cheery news for some politicians, but the interim national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Chief Bisi Akande, says it'll deepen the nation's democracy. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, Chief Akande reaffirmed the party's ideology, saying the APC exists for the sake of the people. He also announced the establishment of a committee to mobilize Nigerians to embrace the new party ahead of its national convention.
One after the other, party chieftains of the newly registered All Progressive Congress walk into the party secretariat in Abuja for its inaugural meeting. At the end of the meeting, which lasted several hours, interim national chairman of the party explains the role of the party.
Is going to deepen the democracy best. There are more than 40 parties in the register of parties in England, but you have only 2 or 3 operating now. Ditto in America, you have only the Democratic Party and the... so you have only 2. It doesn't mean there are no other parties that cannot, show their heads. But their democracy is so respectable because they have created a choice between 2 alternatives. In our own case, we didn't even know which one was a better party before. But from now on, it's not difficult for Nigerians to know which party has been inflicting pains on them for the last 14 years and which party is poised, for relieving them of these pains.
At a separate meeting in Lafayette, the Nasarawa state capital, Governor Tanko Almakura speaks on the merger of the 3 main opposition parties into the All Progressive Congress. He says it's aimed at providing credible leadership for the country.
Because of the need to redirect affairs of this country so that we can have a visionary leadership, so that we can have true democracy, so that we can salvage this country from the clutches of people who don't mean this country well. Each of these parties have decided to offer some sacrifices.
The first test of the merger will be the Anambra governorship election, scheduled to hold in November this year.
Away from politics, well, the end has finally come for a suspected armed robbery kingpin, Mr. Emeka Osweke, popularly known as Obanje, as he's been killed by the police in Imo State. While displaying the body of the late gang leader at the command's headquarters in Owerri, the state capital, the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Mohammed Katsina, said Osweke was behind various bank robberies and kidnappings in Imo and neighboring states.
my special squad got wind of it and engaged them in a massive shootout, in the course of which the ringleader, whom you all popularly know as Obanje, was gunned down. He died on the way to hospital. My war against crime and criminality is going to be unrelenting and holistic. We will continue dealing decisively all activities of predatory and antisocial element in our mix, and anybody found or identified engaging in any form of criminal activity will be arrested and brought to justice.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has declared wanted 2 top officials of Fargo Petroleum and Gas Limited who are accused of defrauding the federal government in oil subsidy claims. The Managing Director and General Manager Operations of the company, Sheung Ogumbambo and Habila Tek, are wanted in connection with the case of conspiracy, forgery and obtaining the sum of over 976 million naira from the Petroleum Support Fund under false pretenses. The EFCC spokesman, Wilson Wajeren, said both men who have been standing trial before a Lagos State High Court disappeared after being released on bail, forcing the court to issue a warrant for their arrest. The EFCC requests anybody who has useful information as to their whereabouts to contact any of the Commission's officers. Now, the issue of corruption among lawyers and undue delay in the administration of justice in the country has once again been raised. Senior legal practitioners at a forum in Abuja agreed on the need to re-examine the quality of lawyers and instill discipline in the profession to put an end to the era of continuous denial of justice. A senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Joe Kyari Gadzama, noted the need to weed out quacks from the profession.
Senior legal practitioners, including the former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Mohammed Uwais, President of the Nigerian Bar Association, and other legal and political bigwigs, gathered here as it was a moment of stock-taking in the nation's legal profession. The challenge is clearly how to resuscitate the appalling state of the profession and modernize the practice. This move follows growing dissatisfaction over undue delays in the courts.
The maximum number of months for the trial of a case on the average should be 12 months or at most 18 months. Why should our cases remain in the court for as close to 5 or 10 years before going to the Court of Appeal and then Supreme Court and coming back probably for a trial de novo or another hearing?
The question of too many lawyers involved in sharp practices has become commonplace in the country. Some of the practitioners were quick to relate this with the poor welfare packages and the need for the Nigerian Bar Association to embark on more training of the lawyers.
There are courtrooms in this country that are operating from thatch houses. Those are the issues. You need to modernize the courts. And like I said, I know, yes, lawyers have issues with some lawyers who want to delay cases and all that, but I still don't accept that responsibility. Why not? Because I recognize the fact that a judge should remain dominus litis, i.e. a judge must be in charge of his or her court.
What we seem to lack is the willpower to execute some of those ideas. And if we're there, I'm sure we can succeed.
The lawyers also observed that the Council of Legal Practitioners would begin to look into having qualified examinations as a prerequisite for enrollment into the Nigerian Law School to checkmate the preponderance of unqualified lawyers.
This has been the much-needed avenue to displace the many challenges that have clogged the wheel of justice in the nation. But how speedily these recommendations here would be adopted remains the most critical question. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
When the news at 10 returns, students of Federal College of Agriculture, Ondo State, stage peaceful protest over abuse of one of their own. Please join us again.